By the way, this isn't prime. It's C4 citrus. I just used my prime bottle, so it can get primed with C4 citrus. Alright, I'll tell you honestly, folks, this bottle was $1, but what's in it was 33 cents a can. So I get a few of them until they're gone over at the grocery outlet you have here in Brevard. So the staff that I've drawn that we're using for this series of lectures, you know, when I first drew this staff, this is the upper staff. This purple part is the upper staff. Okay, so this is like, every good boy does fine. Well, how high do you think I drew this originally? Not that high. I don't want this thing to go up a whole octave, but it does, or something like that. It would be safe to do that. And one of the supporting ideas is because in between the two clefs, the treble clef and the bass clef, we have middle C, but at any time you'll see a whole octave written on the bass clef. Okay, and similarly you'll see a whole octave going down, as much as, I'm sure, okay, as much as was allowed. And then, people write music, they say, well, I'm just going to use the other clef, we're going to write it into the other clef. One thing about the two clefs, and I hope I get this right, you have upper C here, got lower C here, okay? So it's the same note, it's just down 2 note positions, or down 1 every other note position on that staff. So this is the same note on the lower C, is the same note on the upper staff as the note above it. Okay, so the lower D, the note on the upper staff would be the line right above it, 1 note above it, every other note, 2 notes above it. Okay, because remember, you have to go on the line and then to there. Just a little bit of theory about there. So this little diagram I made before I discovered all this good stuff. Notes in between lines. Notice I got the G7 here. I didn't put the F there yet because I didn't discover it yet. I didn't realize it was a circle. Same thing with D minor 7th. I didn't put the E minor 7th rather there. This is what I thought was the highest. The highest, because we have that D minor 7 way up here, right? You got a D minor 7. It'll be right here. D, F, A, and C. See, I didn't put, then we skip there and do the E minor 7. See how the E minor 7 starts right up there? E's green. So that's how I started this stuff. Now, notes between lines, line through notes, guess what? Start from the A minor 7, what do you got? B, C, D. Start from the A minor 7th, B, C, D. So I realized that no matter where you start on the keyboard staff, on the guitar, you're going to be going every other note in this line, C, D, E, A. So if you, anywhere you start, okay, anywhere, it's a B. You start this B and start doing a B minor 7th, where's B minor 7th going to go? To C. Where's C minor 7th going to go? To D. Where's D minor 7th going to go? To E. Alright? Whatever the quality of this note is, whether it's line through or in between lines, I can look. Middle C is line through. Lower C is in between lines. The next note down is line through. These are all line through notes. They're all line through notes. So I just went up this scale in line through notes. So that's why it works so well. Okay, now let's talk about some more stuff that we have to know. stuff that we should know, stuff that we should be learning. So there it is. Let's not over marvel on it. Also want to cover those string shapes. Oh my goodness. Are we going to get to them? By the way, okay, well, actually what I'll do is I'll put me on the other side. And I'm going to zoom in on this. Alright. By the way, with the string shapes, I decided that I had to add a dominant string shape. So what's different about these string shapes and the other string shapes we've been studying is that these are the 7th chords. Major 7th string shapes, minor 7th string shapes, half diminished 7th string shapes, dominant strings, and that's a 7th because dominant is the 7th. You got to know that, of course. I do know that. Alright, so let's quickly look at this. Everybody, we know what the major 7 strings are. Okay? And the interesting thing about this, so these are your string shapes, our friendly string shapes, and these little long forms. I can use these long patterns because if you recognize the 5, 6, there's no 6 in this root 3, 5, 7 thing, but the 6 would be right here. Okay? You recognize that as the short A form, then you can look at these diagrams and say, hey, I got it all right here in one diagram. I don't need a diagram for short string shapes. The diagram for short string shapes is right here. That's the diagram for short string shapes. Forget about this stuff. Okay? That's the diagram for short string shapes. Except, you know, you'd have 5, 6, and E would be 7 root 2, and C would be 3, 4, 5 for diatonic. G would be 6, 7 root. The dash is the accidental, the virtual accidental, wherever you're playing it. Okay, but keep in mind when we're going into staff, sure, we're looking to be able to apply this anywhere. We're looking for the first opportunity we can do it, but right now we're kind of nailed down to that staff. So we want to know exactly what those notes are. It really doesn't matter at this point. But what I have to show you here for this is, put it this way, I can't explain that right now. I can't demonstrate that. We want to get through this or we're not going to get through this. And this is important. We're going to move the 1 to 4 to get the 4th 7th string shape, to get that F. See how I'm talking about nailing it down to get that F? We're going to talk about being in the key of C. So the C major 7th, we want to get the F. Alright, and for the dominant, we want to get that dominant. Remember, we're going to have every one of them. Okay, so we can get the F and the C major 7th on this string shape diagram because we would substitute. Now, we move the pattern up 1 to get to the 4th. I wanted to show you that briefly. We'll just draw a line here. So let's say this is your string. I know it's crooked. This is your string, right? We move the pattern up 1. Now the bottom string becomes the E from the C string. Okay, move the up 1 to get to the 4th. That's what we're going to do. So let's say we're on the, I don't know, on the C string, which is 3, 5 here. So what are we doing? We're doing like 3, 5, 7 root. Okay? And that's obviously C major 7th. So here's our C major 7th. Okay, then 3, then 5, 7. Long 7 there. Warp up. Okay, there's our